What a beautiful day in Houston. The rain has passed us and the sun is shining. It's March the 22nd on a Tuesday. I am going to take us back 2 weeks and bring us forward with all the events that have occurred. Before we get started, though, what I'd like for you guys to do is hit that like button, hit that share button, share it with some friends. Hit that subscribe button, and once again, as I have to say all the time now, since some of my friends back home want to know how much it costs on the subscription, it's free with YouTube. Okay, so subscribe and smash that bell so that every time a show drops, you'll be notified. One more time, hit that like, share, subscription, and smash that bell. I appreciate everyone so far that's jumping on board with the show. It gets better and better. If there are anyone out there that like the show and would like to contribute, we have ways to contribute. If you go to fatlarrypodcast.com is my website. fatlarrypodcast@gmail is my email account. We take all donations. None are too small, none are too large. We have the capability of Cash Out, Zelle, and Venmo. So, one more time, if you like the show and you like for us to continue to strive forward, we can definitely appreciate anything that you might help us with. Okay, so with that said, let's get into some sports. I am going to go back and cover what is now the big topic, the Ncaa March Madness. And it really, definitely is what it says it is, madness. There have been so many upsets like there are every year in March Madness that wrecks everybody's bracket. Let me tell you a funny story that I saw on TV the other day. Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and some guys are announcing the game and commentating, Clark Kellogg, and they show people's bracket being busted. Charles Barkley got X's everywhere on his bracket. he is tore up already on his bracket. And he's not the only one. My bracket is kind of messed up also. But I'm hoping that the final four, three of the final four that I had put down make it, because Arizona is playing University of Houston this Thursday. Get an opportunity, watch the game. I know I'm all about HBCUs, but I also promote the University of Houston because University of Houston for years have been the front runner on making sure everybody had an opportunity to participate in any sport. Football, basketball, baseball, University of Houston has been out front. So I'm hoping that University of Houston Thursday can get past Arizona, which is a number one, and I think they can, because Coach Sampson has his guys doing one thing. And you hear coaches always say that offense doesn't travel. What they mean by that is at home you might have good offense and away you may not. But defense travels. You can play defense at home and you can play defense away, because defense is nothing but effort and want to. And Coach Sampson has his guys wanting to every game. So with that said, I'm going to go into my HBCU news. Norfolk State, out of the MEAC, lost in the first round. They won the MEAC championship, and they lost in the first round to a number one, Baylor. Okay, now the coach at Norfolk State said something that was so relevant, in that what he mentioned was, don't throw us into the 16th bracket to face the number one team every time. Don't have HBCUs and smaller colleges, because they made the bracket, feel honored to be sent to the arena, the gladiator arena, where they're fighting the top gladiators. No. Norfolk State was like 25-7, 24-6, somewhere along that lines. That They could have been a number 15, just like TSU could have been a 15th ranked team where they get an opportunity to play a second seed or a third seed. And anything can happen, as we know, in a second seed and a third seed. Just ask University of Kentucky. You know, they are gone. There are others also that were gone that lost that were second seeded teams. So give these schools an opportunity. I agree with the coach at Norfolk State. And he's not crying over spilled milk. Yeah, we appreciate going to the NCAAs and getting the opportunity to get on the big stage, getting paid, because once again, that's what it's always about, getting paid. Because back in the day, we didn't even have that opportunity. So it's not about spilled milk, once again, excuse me, complaining about it. He just wanted to say, hey, put us in the 15th bracket. Give us opportunity to be one of these second seed teams, which I feel like them and Texas Southern would have had a good opportunity to do. But anyway, Norfolk State lost to Baylor in the first round. TSU beat Texas A&M in a play-in. Okay, now, TSU still ended up having to play a first-seeded team once again, but that's okay because now we got paid twice. We got paid for the play-in and we got paid for the first-round game. So I have no qualms about that. They beat Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and they beat them soundly. Coach Jones has done a great job over at TSU, and he did a great job this year. I feel like we were like 1 point guard away from actually wreaking havoc the whole season against schools. But that's okay. We still won the tournament championship, which allowed us to get paid. Alcorn, who we beat in the tournament championship game, made it to the NIT, and they played Texas A&M and were beating in that game. They were hanging in there the first half, a little bit of the third quarter, but down the stretch they lost. TSU beats 3 teams in 3 days to win their tournament. We beat Jackson State, we beat Grambling State, and then we beat Alcorn, as I mentioned earlier. One of the big stories now for HBCUs are we have one national championship already won. Paul Quinn College, located in Dallas, and I'm going to toot my horn on this, as my listening audience knows that have been watching me. I'm from Central Texas, Waco, and Paul Quinn was there for over 100 years in Waco. So they are now in Dallas, and they won let me make sure I tell you the right national championship that Paul Quinn won. Paul Quinn College wins national title, United States Collegiate Athletic Association. Small college is what they call it. One more time. Paul Quinn College, an HBCU in Dallas, won the Small College United States Collegiate Athletic Association championship, national. They beat Bryant and Stratton College. A great accomplishment for Paul Quinn College, so I want to send them their flowers and let them know we see you, PQC. We see you. Also, for some additional information on that, the twins that once played, Jamar and Jamar Redis, that played for Texas Southern University and they transferred to Paul Quinn, was part of that team. One started and one came off the bench. So they have felt the wonderful feeling of being national champions. So we want to send the flowers out again to Paul Quinn up north to Dallas, Texas. Also, Talladega College, located in Alabama, is the only HBCU school still alive that's playing. They will play the championship game. One more time. Talladega College Tornadoes out of Talladega, Alabama, will play for the NAIA championship. The last time a HBCU won that title It was in 1977. And I am here and happy to say the school that won that was my alma mater, Texas Southern University, was the last HBCU to win the NAIA. Now, Talladega they're going to play Loyola out of New Orleans. They're 35-1, and Talladega is 32-5. Three of Talladega's losses have come to Loyola in the conference and tournament play. But you never know what'll happen next time going around. So we want to also send flowers out to Talladega for making it to the national championship game in NAIA. Moving on, we have some news on Jackson State University women. They are no longer in the tournament. They were beaten by LSU, but they put up a hellacious fight. The thing about when I say we, HBCUs, play the major one schools, it's always about the depth. A lot of these HBCUs, the first five, can hang with these schools. But then when they start bringing players off the bench, it starts to separate the HBCUs and the major colleges. So Jackson State loses to LSU, but LSU's coach had nothing but praise for Jackson State University. Don't feel bad for Jackson State University, because I just got a tip today or news information today that the rich is going to get richer. Jackson State is about to get Angel Jackson from University of Southern California, a McDonald High School All-American, 6'5". She will probably be the tallest female in the SWAC at center at 6'5". So look for Jackson State to be tough again next year. One more time. Angel Jackson, a high school All-American, McDonald High School All-American, is going to attend Jackson State University. The 6'5" center is leaving University of Southern California. And on that note, it breaks my heart to say that for all my TSU friends and followers and alumni, that Cynthia Cooper has decided to retire. So this is going to be a hard pill to swallow right now, because Cynthia could always do something with marginal stuff, players. So I'm looking forward to seeing who they're going to hire for Texas Southern's women's coach. But Cynthia Cooper will no longer be the Fighting Tigers women's basketball coach. And while we're on that subject, they had a good year, a good turnaround year from the previous year, the TSU women. They were one guard away, I feel like, because Tatiana, the little small guard that we had down the stretch, seemed like she was playing 40 minutes out of the game. And at some point that wears you down, she would start making turnovers down the stretch. But as me and my friends and people that would be at the game, fatigue sets in, and fatigue will create turnovers. But she had a hellacious second part of the season, I feel, her and Avant, the other young lady. And the young lady I can't think of right now, 21, that was doing all the rebounding, she did a super job. So I want to send some flowers out to the TSU. We made it to the semis, and we should have beat Southern, but that's okay. The girls had a good year. Moving on, still talking about the SWAC, and talking about football now. Deion Sanders invited HBCU schools in his immediate area. They put on a pro day at Jackson State University. You had Alcorn, Mississippi College, Mississippi Valley, and a few other little small schools that had some players come to their combine. And And let me break off before I finish this statement. People continue to want to say Dion is about Dion, but it's not. Dion, every time he's in the news, it brings shine to the SWAC. So you now have, because Dion demanded from the NFL that if you can send scouts to a compound at Ole Miss, University of Mississippi, and Mississippi State, you can send them here to Jackson State. So they had 22, let me get the number right. They had 22 teams to be represented at that combine at Jackson State. And I said that to say that Dion allowed players from Alcorn, Mississippi College, Mississippi Valley, his school, to be able to get in front of the combine, which they weren't able to do last year. And he states this year that he's letting them know right now that there should not have not ever been a HBCU player not drafted. So he is not standing for it this year that if an HBCU player is not drafted. But trust me, that will not occur again because he's brought light to shine on the NFL and let them see the inequities of how they are doing it. So I want to send a shout out to Dion again on that. He hopes to make it bigger next year. In other words, he wants all the SWAC schools to send their players there. You know, sometimes these coaches have little petty issues with Dion. You know, get over it. Deion Sanders is Deion Sanders. He's Coach Prime. You know, you're not Coach Prime at Alabama State. You're not Coach Prime at A&M, Alabama A&M. You're not Coach Prime at UAPB. Coach Prime is at Jackson State University. But he's trying to make it possible for, if these other coaches want to, jump on the train, jump on the boat. You know, there's room for all of us, which is exactly what he said on HBCU Game Day. That's a great show. I want to let my listening audience know that they might want to look up. You know, and I got a podcast show, and I want as many people as possible to see mine. But HBCU Game Day gives out a lot of great information. So he's also, I want to say that Ashley Robinson from Jackson State University, the athletic director there that Hyde Prime, received a huge pay raise at Jackson State. They couldn't do anything but pay Ashley Robinson because there were so many naysayers when he hired Dion about, oh, that's just a gimmick hire. But it's turned out to be more than a gimmick hire for Jackson State University. The money that Dion has created for Jackson State University, there's no gimmick to that. And they realized this, so they rewarded Ashley Robinson, which I think is what they should have done. Howard University women, they played in the play-in game. So I want to shine on all my women participants in the Ncaa also. I know I talk a lot about the men, but we are proud of our women also from the HBCUs that are making strides. Okay? This is not actually a game, but I announced it last year. Xavier University out of New Orleans won the National Cheerleader Contest in the NAIA. And we want to hand out flowers to them for that too. This is the first time it's ever happened. They've only been allowed 3 years to participate. So you see, all we need to do is to just be given the opportunity. They were given the opportunity 3 years ago, and in a 3-year period of time, and HBCU has won that contest. So congrats to Xavier. Let me see, I want to make sure before we pass anything on this. I went to, this past weekend here in Houston, the TSU relays, the seventh relay for the TSU relays. Man, that is a tongue twister. I never would have thought it. But the 7th relays for the TSU went on this past weekend. And I'm here to say that Let me see how I can preface this. I'm upset that TSU relays had two SWAC schools running. The only SWAC schools there were Prairie View and Texas Southern. They had Fort State, 3 junior colleges. I can remember when every SWAC school showed up at the TSU relays. Back in the day, when we were the Flying Tigers, because we are no longer the Flying Tigers, and I love TSU. And so this is coming from the heart, and I would like for someone to let me know. Good point. At the bottom of this show, you can write a comment if you feel that I'm off base, or if you feel like, hey man, I agree with you about the TSU track team. Clyde Duncan, when he ran back in the day for TSU, they were the Flying Tigers. Took on all comers. I came to TSU much later than Clyde Duncan, and they were still the Flying Tigers back in the day. I understand that the budget does not match A&M's. It does not match University of Houston. It does not match Rice. I get that. But it did not match that when I was there. Dave Bethany, the track coach at Texas Southern, the legendary Dave Bethany. I want to make sure I add that in, because once Dave Bethany left and TSU track went down, you now see the effect he had on the TSU track team. Coach Bethany, same type of low budget that Duncan has, kept a SWAC contending team. And not only SWAC, when they went off to the UT relays, when they went off to the Baylor relays, when they went off to the Pelican relays, there was another relay that was awesome when I was in college called the Border Relays in Laredo, Texas, that drew big time colleges there. You know, you had to be something special to get an invitation. And TSU, none of these schools want any parts of it. But now, we can't win a relay. We can't win an individual race. Now, I'm going to give Mr. Pre, this young man at Texas Southern that's in the long jump that went to the NCAAs, I'm going to give him his credit. So he did do that. But I'm astounded that in the city of Houston, Texas, in the metropolitan area of Houston, Texas, that the TSU track team cannot be greater or better than it is right now. I don't know if it's, to me, I think it may be the coaching. It could be the administration, Kevin Granger. But one more time, these schools have always worked with a budget lower than the major schools, but they've always been competitive. And tell me, how is it Jackson State Southern, Grambling, UAPB, Mississippi Valley, Alabama A&M, Alabama State, none of these schools showed up to the TSU relays? I was up there the whole while. If it was not for the high school teams that come to the TSU relays, there would be no need to go. I know I'm being hard on them, but I'm just speaking my mind and my heart, because I really want them to do better. And one more time, at the bottom of the comments, or email me at fatlarrypodcast@gmail.com if you disagree. One more time, I can take constructive criticism, because I definitely disagree that we have to be this low on the totem pole in track. I just don't believe it. So I spent my little 5 minutes on that, crying about how terrible the TSU track team is right now, and it shouldn't be. So I'm done with it, and I hope someone relays this to the powers that be on the track team. So If you have anything to tell me about the track team that you think is legitimate on why they are as low as they are now, let me know. Okay, now moving on from that, the track team, I have one other thing I want to talk about on the basketball. P.J. Henry was MVP at the SWAC tournament. Young man that went to Shadow Creek and right here in the Houston area. And I told Coach Jones at the beginning of the season that I was very excited that he had got this young man. I saw him in high school and I knew he was a good player. So he became the MVP of the SWAC tournament. And I expect nothing but great things from PJ once he gets stronger and understands that the SWAC, looking from the outside in, people think that it's just some kids that couldn't make it anywhere else. The SWAC has good basketball players, and I think if you ask PJ that now, he'll tell you that also. So he's going to definitely have to get stronger, and I think he will. And he's going to take his game to another level. I want to give a shout out to Grisham, Bryson Grisham, that came from the University of Houston and played this year at Texas Southern. I think he should get a look at the NBA because of his shot blocking ability, running the floor, and his rebounding. There were plenty of guys in the NBA that did just that. Now, they did it at a high level, but they did just that. Shot blocking, running the floor, and rebounding. You had Dennis Rodman. When Detroit won their championship in 04, 03, you had Ben Wallace. And you also had Rick Mahorn with the Bullets in the late 80s. So there are guys that, they're not terrors on the offense, but if you can, one more time, run the floor, rebound, and shot block, there's a place for you. So I think Grisham should get a look. U of H, on that same tone, is in the Sweet 16 again. One more time, a wonderful job by Coach Sampson. He loses his top two scorers, Marcus Sasser, and Tremont Mark. And they still get to the Sweet 16. Jamal Shedd is fantastic. A young man out of Manor, Texas, just south of Austin. This guy he's going to be special. He's just a sophomore, and he already is. Tajay Moore has picked it up. Kyler Edwards has picked it up, and Josh Carlton. So I'm really pulling for the University of Houston. Moving to baseball, TSU is 3-0 after beating Alcorn on a weekend series. Now, they're going to be playing this weekend at McGregor Park. And as I always tell my listening audience, go out and support an HBCU. You actually can see this game for free. Go out and let the kids know that you appreciate what they're doing. McGregor Park on Friday is 5 p.m. game. Saturday is 2 p.m. and Sunday is 1 p.m. UAPB is 2-1. Texas Southern is 3-0. So it's going to be a great series. I plan to be out there at least two of the games. TSU's women's softball is 6-0. They go unnoticed, TSU's women's softball. They have been in the mix for the last 4 or 5 years in the championship, either winning it or playing for it. So this year they're 6-0, and that's with a new coach. They play Southern and Baton Rouge, which is 5-1. So that's going to be a good series in Baton Rouge. So my listening audience in Louisiana, because I do have some friends that listen in Louisiana, if you have an opportunity, go to the game. Support the young ladies. And on the last note from TSU, Cynthia Cooper has decided to retire as the basketball coach at Texas Southern. One more time, I spoke of it earlier, but now I'm emphasizing it. She's retired, and I hope that we can really find someone to replace her. We're going to go over the NBA right quick. Top 8 teams. Got the Phoenix Suns, who I think is the best team in the league. You have the Memphis Grizzlies, Golden State Warriors, Utah Jazz, Dallas, Denver, Minnesota, the Clippers. That's the top 8. Now, the NBA started last year this play-in stuff. So the 9th and 10th teams get to play. The Lakers, my Lakers, a 9th place team. You know, everybody's ragging me because my Lakers, you don't wear your Laker gear no more. Nah, they don't deserve for me to put on no Laker gear. Bad as they play it. But I'm still a Laker fan. But the Lakers will be in the play-in game, and so will New Orleans. Okay? In the East, you got Miami, the Heat, you got the 76ers, the Bucks, Boston. Boston at one while was like in the 9th spot, and Boston is now in the 4th spot. They went on a winning streak this second half that has really got them to be in a position where you have to consider Boston in the East. You have the Bulls, the Cavaliers, Toronto. Let me stop. Toronto is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're in 7th place in the NBA, and I challenge anybody other than 2 players from Toronto to name me 3 more. The reason why I'm saying that is this coach has done a fabulous job. He lost Kawhi. He lost several other players. The kid that's at Detroit, at Miami now, the guard, he lost him. And so, but he keeps his team in the mix. So I just want to shout out to the coach for Toronto. He does a great job. And you got the New Jersey Nets in 8th spot. And so you got Charlotte and Atlanta in the 9th and 10th spot, which will qualify them for the play-in. You know, but I don't expect any of these teams, once they play in, go any farther. Even if the Lakers win the play-in, they're not going anywhere. There's too much disruption going on. Okay, so that's the NBA basketball. Going to the NFL. Deshaun Watson finally knows where he is going. He is going to the Cleveland Browns. And so wherever Deshaun goes, that team becomes instantly better. You know. So once he got the court part of it out the way, the criminal part of it out the way, and now it's the personal suits, civil suits part, teams are, okay, we'll mess with him on that because that's just a matter of him paying off the ladies, which he's probably definitely going to have to do. So he's going to Cleveland. And other news, Mariota is going to the Falcons. And the Falcons' previous quarterback, Matt Ryan, is going to the Colts. Von Miller, Super Bowl champion from the LA Rams, he has signed with the Buffalo Bills, pass rusher supreme. They already had a great defense. Now you add Von Miller to the mix, the Bills, and you got Josh Allen on offense. You know, they can score. They just need to make sure they can stop people from scoring. If you don't score 20 plus points against the Bills, you're not going to win because the Bills are going to score. You got Jameson Winston, the quarterback at the Saints, signed a 2-year contract. Okay? $24 million. So I think he is going to play, going to come in as the starter. And he's back. One guess who I'm saying he's back. I'm going to ask my producer if he knows who I'm talking about he's back. I'm talking about NFL football. Who am I talking about when I say he's back? Tom Brady. You see what I'm talking about? Everybody know it. Tom Brady is back. This man just got football in his blood. They're going to have to actually probably break his arm and his leg for him to finally decide that he's not going to play anymore. So Tom Brady is back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And as long as he's with Tampa Bay, they're going to be in the mix for people talking about going to the Super Bowl. Okay? Major League Baseball. Last thing we're going to talk about. Carlos Correa of the Houston Astros finally got traded and has signed with the Minnesota Twins. Now dig this. The Houston Astros wanted to sign Carlos Correa for $120 million for 6 years. at averages of $20 million a year. The Minnesota Twins are going to pay him $120 million for 3 years. So 3 divided by 12 or 12 divided by 3 is $40 million average for 3 years. He wanted to be the highest paid shortstop. He didn't get the 8th, the 10th year like that other shortstop, but he got 3 years at $40 million. The highest guy prior to that was getting $30 million. And so he's only got a 3-year contract. Who knows, he might can come back. But Carlos Correa is gone. Jeremy Pena is going to be the shortstop as of opening day or during spring training. And his dad played Major League Baseball, Geronimo Pena. Also, Freddie Freeman, the MVP of the World Series, Atlanta, is going to the LA Dodgers. So, a lot of sports have gone on since then. So, I had a tremendous guest signed up, but something came up. So, but anyway, I want you guys to stay tuned for next week or the next show. We tape every other week. I'm going to have Zena Garrison on the show. So I want you guys to get all your questions and what have you together that you may have for Zena. And one more time, hit me up at fatlarrypodcast.com. You can also hit me at fatlarrypodcast@gmail.com. And before we get away, I want to show you guys, make sure that you can see it. Here are the t-shirts that are available online at fatlarrypodcast.com. Make sure that you go to fatlarrypodcast.com. Get you one of these t-shirts because it helps us in continuing the show at a high quality level. Now we also have the hoodies. Get yourself a hoodie. I know when I walk around with mine, people are always saying, "Where'd you get that at?" And so I tell them. So go to fatlarrypodcast.com and get your hoodie. Okay? Because we will appreciate any contribution that you're able to give us in regards to keeping the show at a high quality level. As I leave out today, I want to thank everyone for sharing my show with your friends. As you know, the viewership is going up. And until the next show, I want to wish everyone a wonderful weekend. Peace out.